let's count down the 6 most bizarre cultural practices and traditions in human history. Number 6. Marrying a tree, India. The West would categorize a tree hugger as someone with a great deal of adoration for Mother Nature. However, in some parts of India, the concept reaches unseen extremes, with certain groups of people being made to marry trees in a bizarre cultural practice. According to traditional Hindu astrology, if you were born with Mars in the constellation, you are likely to bring about an unfortunate fate for yourself and your future spouse. This unlucky constellation is referred to as Mangala Dosha, and likewise, the people born during this time are referred to as Mangalika, often used as a derogatory term in Indian culture. That being said, there is a way to avoid a life of being single as a Mangalika, and that involves the tradition of marrying a tree. According to Hindu astrology, the curse on a Mangalika's future spouse only extends to their first spouse. Anyone they marry for the second time in their lives or from there on is safe from a life of extreme difficulty. This would mean that someone would have to sacrifice themselves for the greater good in this cultural practice, and that would be Mother Nature. In Mangalika's culture, they aren't limited to marrying trees, however, and have free reign to marry anything, literally anything. Some of them go the traditional route of marrying plants, while others have been known to marry animals or even inanimate objects. While this concept has raised several humanitarian issues in other parts of the world, the Mangalikas themselves are more than forthcoming with the first marriage. They believe in the cultural practice wholeheartedly and believe it's a necessary step to ensure a life of prosperity with their loved ones afterward. Number 5. Night of the Spirits in Romania. Noaptea Strigoilor, or Romania's Night of the Spirits, is a night of remembrance for the departed. This strange cultural practice is celebrated on the night before St. Andrew's Day every year. That's November 30th. But what is the Night of the Spirits? According to tradition, it's the one night a year when the strigoi, or undead beings, almost like vampires, are allowed to rise from their graves and haunt the living. Unlike other cultural practices in honor of the dead, Romanian tradition strictly forbids anyone from venturing outside of their homes on November 30th. Legend has it that the strigoi are out looking for trouble. They're spirits that are left restless because they died under mysterious circumstances or were unbaptized at the time of their death. Then, of course, there are those otherworldly beings who were just evil during their time on Earth. But Romania doesn't shut down on November 30th. In fact, those who believe in the tradition and have to leave their homes to do so with precaution, garlic is believed to ward off evil spirits, and people tie them around their homes, windows, and doors, and some even carry it around with them. To add another layer of protection during this strange cultural practice, people recite charms or spells. These spells can only be passed down by village elders or those who claim to have seen the mysterious strigoi. There is, however, one reason why some people might look forward to the wretched night. According to cultural tradition, unmarried women who are seeking visions of their future husbands can perform love rituals on this night. After all, St. Andrew's is also associated with matchmaking and marriage. Number 4. Finger cutting, Indonesia. What lengths would you go to pay homage to the dearly departed? The Dani people, an indigenous tribe in Indonesia, mourn the loss of their deceased relatives in a bizarre cultural practice. After the death of a loved one in the tribe, the Dani people organize a festival of sorts where they pray for the soul of the departed, sing songs, and then commemorate the relative's passing by having a woman of the family cut off one of her fingers. The Dani people believe that the best way to mourn someone they love is to take part in their suffering, and the easiest way to match their emotional pain to physical pain would be by cutting off one of their fingers. This strange cultural tradition has been around for centuries now. Women are usually chosen to sacrifice one or more appendages based on the belief that they're more emotional and pious than men. The finger is cut off in one swift motion by a particularly sharpened knife, usually a knife that's meant for this purpose. The wound is then cauterized with fire or herbal medicine to keep it from developing an infection. As if the cultural practice couldn't become more strange, sometimes one woman is asked to sacrifice multiple fingers depending on how many people in her family have passed. Despite the cultural significance of this tradition, the finger-cutting ceremony is becoming increasingly rare, partly due to modernization efforts by the Indonesian government, and partly due to the fact that there are only so many women with so many fingers left among the Dani people to participate in this strange cultural tradition. Number 3. Bullet Ant Initiation. Brazil. Resilience, discipline, and a sense of community. These are the pillars on which the Satere Mawe people of the Brazilian Amazon base one of the strangest cultural traditions on the list, the Bullet Ant Initiation. The practice is a coming-of-age ceremony of young boys of the tribe. In it, they're made to wear gloves that are covered wholly on the inside with bullet ants. The gloves are to be worn for exactly 10 minutes, during which the bullet ants bite the hands of the young men. An interesting and painful fact here is that the sting of the bullet ant is believed by researchers to be the most painful sting of any insect in the world. To distract themselves from the pain, the young men are often encouraged to dance for the entirety of the 10 minutes. The strange cultural practice begins with the preparation of a special glove made from woven leaves. Into this glove, dozens of bullet ants are placed, their stingers facing inward. These ants are first sedated with natural herbs to make them manageable, but they are very much alive and return to full activity once inside the glove. This pain can last for hours or even days, accompanied by symptoms like swelling, trembling, and temporary paralysis. To make matters worse, the cultural tradition is often repeated over the course of several days, sometimes even months, to showcase a particular family's endurance and discipline. Elders of the family sing and chant to invoke protective spirits and encourage the boys to endure the challenge. Number 2. Tibet's Sky Burials. Known locally as the Jator, the Tibetan sky burial is a strange cultural tradition deep-seated in the belief that our bodies are merely vessels for our souls. To commemorate this cultural practice, Tibetan monks perform a unique type of ritual. In it, they cut the deceased's body into minute pieces, grind their bones into perfect flour, and feed it to the vultures. But don't worry, vultures aren't seen as birds of death in Tibetan traditions. Rather, they're revered as being holy birds. That being said, the idea of having a loved one fed to a vulture sounds inhumane. However, according to Tibetan culture, this is the only way to guarantee that a spirit will have a peaceful transition into the afterlife. Accordingly, the bizarre cultural tradition is rooted in the belief in death and rebirth, as in the vessel has to be given back to the earth when the soul is about to leave for the afterlife. The logical way to give back to the earth would be to allow your body to be consumed by vultures as part of a ritualistic sacrifice. It is considered a cultural practice of compassion and generosity, as the body of the deceased is offered as sustenance to vultures, completing the cycle of life. Sky burials are typically performed at high-altitude sites, often on remote mountaintops or plateaus. After death, the body is wrapped in white cloth and brought to the site by family members or monks. Specially trained practitioners, known as body breakers, conduct the cultural ritual. Sky burials are also practical, given Tibet's harsh climate and rocky terrain, which make cremation or burial difficult. The ritual is typically accompanied by prayers, chants, and ceremonies led by monks, who guide the soul through the intermediate state of bardo, facilitating its journey toward reincarnation. And number 1, Famadihana, Madagascar. Known locally as Famadihana, or the turning of the bones, this strange cultural tradition is practiced by the Merina people and other Malagasy communities. Between every 5 to 7 years, the people of the area put together a vibrant celebration that's meant to honor the dead. They sing songs, light up the streets, and recount tales of the departed. The catch? The bodies of the deceased are dug out of the ground to allow them to take part in the festivities. This festival is celebrated not just in remembrance of a family's ancestors, but also with them. The bodies are wrapped in fresh sheets, paraded in the streets, or within their own families, celebrated for the life that they lived, and then reburied with a new funeral procession. The event is marked by traditional music, dancing, and feasting. Relatives and community members come together to celebrate life and the enduring bond between generations. It is a time to strengthen family ties and reaffirm shared cultural heritage. The bizarre cultural practice begins with a gathering of extended family members at the family tomb. The bones or remains of deceased relatives are carefully removed from their resting places, often accompanied by prayers and blessings. The remains are then wrapped in new silk cloths, symbolizing respect and renewal. During this practice, family members may speak to their ancestors, share news, and ask for blessings or guidance. The cultural practice reflects the Malagasy worldview that ancestors remain active participants in the lives of the living. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment to tell us what you think about this video in the comment section below.